Of why we brought you here, and it's the opening of this M2 bridge in Johannesburg, one of the busiest networks. The importance, Minister, of a road surface that does not have potholes and that is in good working order, particularly as we lead into the festive season.
Yes, this work is undertaken from time to time. That shows South Africa's capability in terms of maintaining its roads, and at the same time to be able to detect danger quite in advance and actually deal with it. The opening of this road will deal with largely congestion, but it is a necessary procedure that had to be undertaken to keep us safe, all safe, because anything could happen with what has been detected in terms of the structural defects of this particular road. So very important for us in South Africa and Johannesburg in particular.
I've got to highlight this though, Minister, and that is that the outgoing mayor, Herman Mashaba, says since he took office in August of 2016, he has been inundated with a backlog in particular of the roads, the bridges in Johannesburg that are either poor or in very poor condition. And that is thanks to the previous administration, which was the ANC government. It's only 6%, can you believe it, Minister? 6% of bridges around Johannesburg are in good working order compared to the 94% that are in a poor state.
Well, I don't know why Mashaba will the politic, and I suppose it's our job as politicians, but road infrastructure ages. This road, if we were to claim, came into being through the ANC government, and in terms of also its upgrade, you will inherit aging infrastructure that need to be maintained from time to time. Even in areas outside Johannesburg, we still deal with this particular backlog, and that is why the financing and the upgrading of the roads is a consistent and ever-present feature of the work of road upgrade. And also in undertaking the work of the road infrastructure network, new roads must be built. Where does the money come from is an important thing. So I don't want to get into that. I want to get into the business of what needs to be done. It will be done by Mashaba's administration. It will be done by future administration that will come into place to always look after the road infrastructure.
As we wrap up our conversation, Minister, I can't not ask you about the e-tolls. There is a new phrase you have introduced into the conversation, and that is there is going to be a reconfigured e-tolling system. What does that mean in practice, Minister?
Well, reconfigured is that, people criticized the e-tolling system in terms of housing improvement, GFIP, freeway improvement program, and the President appointed a team led by the Minister of Transport to look into that. We looked into the whole lot of options that include the demand on the table to scrap the e-tolls. If we were to scrap, what is the alternative? If we don't scrap, how do we meet the road users halfway as the main people who are protesting around this? The funding model, and how do we actually service the debt? Those are the issues that we actually deal with, because the borrowing capacity of South Africa in terms of the bond market is critical in maintaining some integrity going into the future. But most importantly, how do we meet the road users who say this toll is taxing on them, meet them halfway?
Minister.
So on the second week of this month, Cabinet will pronounce, and I'll come back and give you what is the position of government on this matter.
Can I be first, as we usually are on ENCA,
Absolutely,
to put you on the spot and say, e-tolls are not going anywhere. The people of Gauteng, what they should expect perhaps is an e-tolling system that is going to cost them lower. Am I right?
No, you may be right, you may be wrong, in a sense, because at the end of the day, even that model that we are talking about has actually been examined, because the decision we're going to arrive at look at a whole lot of things. We went to Cabinet, we presented, Cabinet said go back and do some work. We're doing that. Next 2 weeks, don't be a sangoma. It's a straightforward thing. We will present what Cabinet will have resolved and how it arrived at that particular decision. And I want to tell you that Cabinet deeply think about this, including the demand on scrapping of the e-tolls and to look at the depressing economy and where are we going to get the resources to finance what then becomes a debt, a big debt in the e-tolling system that has already been introduced. That is the biggest challenge that is facing us, and I don't need anybody to be a Sangoma. It's as truthful as it is. What you see is what you get. 2 weeks, we'll be back. They call me a Muhu, a Mampara, but it's very good because governance is not a child's play. It's good to be an opposition because you just shout, but to govern is something else.
Minister Fikile Mbalula, I hope those words you repeat when you out on the streets campaigning for votes in your capacity as ANC senior member. But thank you very much for joining us here this morning, Fikile Mbalula, taking us through some of what he says is important work that's being done to rehabilitate the roads in South Africa. Jane.